Alright, what is up guys, Azura here, and today we are here to talk about my first impressions of the newest set on JP. I think we are on G set 16 now. Let me just resize this so it's not, there we go. Newest on JP, and you are either very excited or you're not excited at all for this, because this set is all fish. So they decided after like the actual Climax GZ set, I think just like TCG decided the last set, or what might be the last set, to just be only fish. So yeah, prepare for a full set review of early impressions of all fish. So yeah, I'll go over Gize at the end as well, just because Gize technically is new this month, and it's probably definitely is worth talking. So talking about. So yeah, as you can see here, fish got 6 different GRs. It is notable that in this box they decided to do what they should have done from the very beginning and put basically doubled the ratios of all the rarities. So as opposed to a normal box, this box has 2 of each GR in the box, 4 of each triple rare, and I think 6 of each double rare, I think, in a single box. So you only need realistically 2 box runs to finish it, to get a place of everything. So yeah, if you're a fish player, rejoice, this set is amazing for you. So I guess we'll just start talking about it. So I'll just go over the GRs first. We'll just go top to bottom, I guess. So the first one is Alk. So this will show up as the once that's actually load. They're very unnoticeable SP, but her skill is, so she has Harmony, and then once per turn, CB1 G Persona flip, and choose 2 units with the Harmony ability on your board and return them to your hand. And then she gains the following ability when the unit attacks. You can bounce units up to the number of cards you have face up in your G zone +1, and then you may call up to 2 from hand. So she's basically just a multi-attack enabler, so pretty cool there. And GB3, all your units in Harmony get +5k. So first stride, you can just reset 2 column, you can reset 2 sides, reset a whole column, whatever you want. And then second stride onward, she gets really big. So this card is pretty good for any deck that actually plays Harmony cards, because she does actually need you to bounce specifically cards with Harmony, so she's not completely generic. So yeah, any deck that will play Harmony cards at all will want her. Most specifically, I think the deck that she's best with is Anj. Anj decks, for the most part, play a bunch of Harmony cards in it regardless. So she's a great fit in there, and she's your best, from my personal thing, she's your best first stride. It's not that you want a second copy, so a second pair of her. So she's definitely one of the cards you might want to actually aim for a full play setup in the box. So there is that. Next up, we have a GR for Shushu. So she's a Twidia, just like the grade 3, but her skill is, I think at the start of your main phase, if your heart is a Shushu, you can flip anything you're using face up, and then she gains the following ability. For every open rearguard circle you have, all your Shushu units get +5k. So basically the whole gimmick of Shushu, a lot of them is like they bot deck all their stuff, so you'll have open circles for that, and then when you do, they get really big. So she just makes your board really big. In TCG, I'm pretty sure this skill was completely generic, but I guess they didn't want this to be played in everything. Spoiler, she has another effect, but this power skill is is only usable in an actual Shushu deck. But her second skill, which is the reason why you actually play her, for the most part, is not. So this second skill is completely generic. GB3 once per turn, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, you can choose 3 of your rears and put them to the bottom of your deck. If you put 3, stand her, draw 1, and she gets drive -2. So she's a Van Restander. Basically no condition, just bot deck 3 rears, and then you get the Restander. So really good there. This card 100% sees plays in the Shushu deck. She's probably Shushu's best stride, and then in other decks as well, she's just a Van Restand. So yeah, this card is quite good. I think this card is definitely, I think you definitely want at least 2 of it. If you want to play Shushu, you probably want maybe a little bit more, but maybe like a 3rd copy. But this card is very good, and in my opinion, probably one of the best generic GRs in the set, and definitely worth getting like a 1 to 2 copies of minimum if you want to play fish. A card that I cannot say the same about is Shizuku. This card is quite bad in my opinion, but we'll still go over her. Once per turn, CB1 G Persona flip, so she's also a G flip. Check top 5 cards of your deck and add any I think up to 2 cards with either Shizuku in name or grade 3 units, and add them to your show, reveal them, add them to your hand. Then you can show any number of Shizuku cards from your hand to your opponent after a long mass skill, and then you apply the following effects depending on the grades of the cards you revealed, and then she gets I think +5 for every card you reveal, I think. So if you reveal the 0, your opponent cannot guard with grade 0s. If you reveal a 1, she gets a glory effect, and if you reveal a grade 2, she gets a she ignores and she can ignore intercepts while attacking. So a lot going on here, but the main issue here is that the Shizuku deck just kind of sucks, and since she actually requires you to have Shizukus in the deck to do effects minus the grade 0 one, but if you want to use the grade 0, show the grade 0 and get into your hand, you actually need other skills to actually get her into your hand. So yeah, this card is just kind of whatever. It's not very good. I don't think it's very good. Yeah, it's probably the worst GR in the box, to be perfectly honest. But she's there, I guess. I'm sure someone can find some way to break this, but I think this deck is quite bad. There's supposed to be like a gimmick with this deck where you can like thin your deck out and hit like less than 3 in deck to get this card as your win con. We'll go over this card a little bit later, so just keep that in mind. But I don't know how you're supposed to do that. I think that's a whole lot of it becomes a whole inconsistent mess. I think it's a really big gimmick that another can probably do better. So yeah, I think Shizuku is probably the biggest dud GR in the box. And then next off we have Reindeer. So her skill is when your unit drive checks a grade when you drive check a grade 3 unit and your heart is a Reindeer, Soul Blast 1 CB1 G Persona flip. Choose one of your rear guards and bounce it to your hand. Draw 1. Then she gets plus 3k and plus 1 drive. So the skill don't once return. So as long as you keep checking grade 3s, you can, and as long as you can keep paying costs, you can just keep drive checking up to obviously 3 times because you only have the one you try, then you flip 3 more. So it's pretty cool there. But again, I think this Reindeer deck is also an inconsistent mess. So yeah, I think the coolest thing people have theorized with Reindeer is you play Reindeer with Gize because this is extra drive checks. So more chance to check for triggers, and when you check triggers, you can flip again. So yeah, I think that's probably about the coolest thing Reindeer can do is be used with Gize. But yeah, I think Reindeer is also quite bad. Next up, we have Ange. This card that everyone is excited for, and this Ange is pretty okay. So her skill is GB2 once per turn, CB2, and it will flip anything in your G face up. And then choose any circle that is not a Vanguard circle and return those units to your hand. Then she gets 5k per unit return. If you return 5 or more, draw 1. If you return 7, this unit gains the following ability. On attack, draw 1, drive plus 1. And then your opponent's effects do not activate with cards you bounce with this effect. So basically, CB2, you bounce any number of cards from either side of the board back to their hand. So she can clear intercepts, so it's very nice there. And if you hit 5, you draw 1. If you hit 7, she draw an extra 1 on attack, and she also gets drive plus 1. So she can proc all of your own on bounce effects. She can clear your opponent's board out. Funniest thing with this card is that if your opponent has too much cards in their hand, the card that you will bounce back into their hand will just get thrown into the drop zone because they overhand them. So great 0 mechanics with this card. So yeah, but overall this card is still just really good. She's generic. She doesn't require an on chart or anything. So just having a generic card that can bounce a bunch of cards off the board, i.e. this card can clear out a bunch of back row intercepts. So this card quite good. It's pretty good in Ange, pretty solid in Ange. You don't go into every game, obviously, because you have better things you can go into a lot of the time, but this card is definitely nice to have in basically every Bermuda deck because of the fact that she can clear out a bunch of intercepts all at once. So because of that, very, very solid card. Definitely aim for at least 1 or 2 of it. And with the Reindeer, obviously, if you want to play Reindeer, I think you probably need a playset of it, but otherwise, she's also pretty much a dud. And finally, the last GR is a Prism GR. I actually have no idea what she does, so on play, G flip, I think you like copy a Prism skill, and then Limerick 5, all your prisoners get a crit, and then G zone, if you pay a cost of stride, you can do something else with it. Yeah, I don't know. This card's kind of whatever. I'm sure the Prism deck plays it, but if you've seen my opinion on Prism overall at all whatsoever, you probably know that I'm not exactly too fond of this deck. I don't think this deck's very good. I never thought this deck was particularly good, and as such, I actually could not give 2 shits about this card. So yeah. Probably fine in Prisms. I'm staying away from this. Unless you want to play Prisms yourself, you will also stay away from this. So that's it for the GRs. I'm gonna go over other cards now. So one of my favorite units is the Mirror. That's probably my favorite Mirror. It's probably my favorite Mirror card ever. So quite happy she's in the game. But this card is kind of whatever. She does not really good. I have the full deck, never tried because I think it's like just a pile. But I guess we'll go over her too, just because I like Mirror. But her skill is if your heart is a duo, Soul Blast 1, flip anything in your G zone face up. Then for every pixel card in your G zone, bounce Bounce, a very mirror face up in your G zone, I think. Bounce, whenever your duo rears the hand, and all cards with the same name as that card back to your hand. And then if you bounce 2 or more, she gets plus 5k and a crit. So if you bounce like a full board, she gets like 2 crit. So that's pretty cool there. But on first try, unless you literally drew all 4 copies of a card, which is not impossible because you're playing duos with this. First try, you can probably get like a crit with this, so it's pretty cool. I guess you can like crit them. But yeah, not really doing a whole lot. And then her, she got a G zone skill too. So if your Vanguard is a mirror, you can pay the cost of striding with the stride cost of discard a duel from hand instead. So it would be nice if this was just free stride if you're on a mirror. But yeah, this card kind of not that good. But I guess it's pretty solid for duos. But yeah, it's not amazing. It kind of sucks. I wish this deck was better. I do like mirror a lot. But yeah, this deck card not so good. Deck is kind of not so good either. That's it for all the stride. This is just double. I think this card is a Shushu card. Yeah. Let's go over to quickly. One sword turn, so lost 1. Put 5 Shushu rears to the bottom of your deck. Draw 3. She gets 20k in a crit. So gets a crit, I guess, but not the best. Double rare for a reason. Triggers. There actually is 2 triggers I like to talk about because I think there's 2 that's actually relevant. So the first one is the Kirk. This card is banned in the TCG, and I think this card literally came in exactly the same way as she is in the TCG. So her skill is Harmony, and then at the end of this unit boosted, if this unit is in Harmony, return to the deck, bounce a rear to your hand, and then call a card from hand. So this card is literally just a free extender and a stand that goes back to the deck. So yeah, pretty good. If your deck can afford to make space for the Kirk, you will 100% play this card, I think. But if you can't, obviously you won't. But I think this card is actually really, really good, and any deck that can play it probably should be playing it. So there it is. That. And then the other crit is this crit. So GB2. So thing you notice, she has 0 power, but she has a skill to make up for that. CB1. When this unit boosts CB1, bounce her, return her to the hand, and then the unit she is boosting gets doubled power. So for example, if she's boosting just like a grade 3, like a vanilla grade 3 with no power or anything on it, that's just base 11k, you double that to 22. So, and then if the unit you are boosting has a GB2 possessing ability, then you get a crit as well. So this card can basically give crit to a rear as well as just double the power so they hit over defensives and stuff. So this card I think is actually pretty solid and is pretty integral into cheesing with this grade 1 in my opinion. With this grade 1, which I guess we'll go over now since we already go over everything else. So I think this card's skill is GB2, so she does have a GB2 ability. So she does get the crit off of that crit. So when this unit, if you have 3 or less cards in your deck, so basically nothing. If you have 3 or less cards in your deck, this unit can attack ignoring intercepts, and your opponent cannot guard this attack with grade 0s or I think like the actual wording is like sentinels, so PGs. So basically, if you have 3 or less cards in the deck and this card swings and your opponent's at 5, or if you have to crit, they're at 4, your opponent just dies because they can't guard this. So this card is it looks like a gimmick, but I'm sure there is a way that you can actually just turbo to 3 or less cards in deck and just cheese wins with this. So yeah, this card is very, very high potential. I don't think I've seen anyone do it yet. I know there are lists out there that can do it. I don't know how consistent they are, but if there's a consistent way to actually cheese with this, that's pretty good. Only obvious downside with this is that if you try to cheese with this and your opponent 6 heals and lives, you lose because you probably deck out. So take that as you will, but I think this is actually pretty cool, quote-unquote gimmick to try to play around with, and definitely a card that's actually surprisingly common despite it being potentially just a win con. So pretty good there. Grade 1s, duos got a PG. This card is actually really good correctly, so it only works if your opponent, if your Vanguard is a duo, and then a drop zone. Something. You think you like return cards back to the bottom of the deck, and then you CC and draw 1. Pretty good for duos, but again, duos are pretty ass. So yeah, this card's pretty good though. I think this is like a grown-up form of the starter that every fish deck played, the Akari. So her skill is Harmony, and then at the end of battle, this student either boosted or attacked hits, and she's in Harmony. You can put her into Soul to draw 1 and bounce one of your rear guards with the Harmony ability back to your hand. So she can bounce, she draws, she fuels Soul. Very, very good card. Definitely a very, very nice addition to your deck if you can actually make use of her. And since she has Harmony herself, she can fulfill her own requirement of needing something with Harmony. So pretty good there. A lot of these are duo cards. This thing is a Prism PG. I have no idea what this does, so yeah. And that's it for grade 1s. Grade 2s, a bunch of cards for different decks. This is this, and this are all Shushu cards. So let's quickly go over all of them. So if your Vanguard's a Shushu, this unit gets plus 2k, and then all your grade 2 or higher Shushus in the front row gain resist, and all your grade 2 and higher Shushus anywhere get boost. So she turns all your stuff into booster, she herself becomes a booster, or she gives your front row resist. So pretty good for that deck. She's a restander, so once per turn, when a rear guard's put the bottom of your deck, your Vanguard is a Tudia. So that's the original grade 3 from the set, whatever set that was with Fish and Remy Labyrinth. Her, when something is put at the bottom of your deck, if your Vanguard is a Tudia, Soul Blast 1, CB1, stand her, and she gets plus 5k. So a restanding rear, pretty good there. And finally her, so her skill is Vanguard rear. If you have one or less Shushu rear guard, other Shushu rear guard, she cannot attack. So just a small downside because she has 10k base. And then once per turn, when a rear guard is put to the bottom of your deck, you can CB1 and check top 5 cards of your deck. And I think the skill is if the top 5 cards are all Shushu units or grade 0 heal guards, you can call one Shushu from among them to your board. So she's a multi-attack enabler. If you put her to the bottom, she can still use her skill because her skill has still prompted. So it's pretty good there. Only issue with this is that the Census card is actually really good. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best cards in the deck. She is a little xenophobic because she cannot check a non-Shushu, if I'm reading the skill correctly. So you can't play stuff like Speak in deck, which kind of sucks, but this card I think more than makes up for it. She's basically a speaker herself because she resets a column and she resets an attack anyway. So yeah, really good for the Shushu deck. Obviously can't be played in anything else because she needs Shushu stuff to work. So those are Shushu cards. These top 2 cards up here are dual cards. I have no idea what they do. I don't really care either. This card is pretty good too. I think she is she's like a Garnet version of the Stride Fodder, but her skill is Harmony. And then at the start of your battle phase, Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, if you have 3 or more units, 3 or more Harmony possessing units, so they don't actually need to be in the Harmony state. They just need to actually I don't remember. I don't remember if it was you need 3 or more units with the Harmony possessing ability, or 3 or more units in Harmony. It was one or the other. CB1, draw 1, she gets plus 5k. So as long as you fulfill her requirement, you get to just draw 1 and scale. And this works obviously in turn 2 because she's not GB locked. So this card is really, really good in my opinion. I think this is one of the best cards you can be playing in any Harmony focused deck because just the draw early game as well as being able to scale early is really, really nice. So this card is a very, very good card. I think this is a Riviera card. I don't know what this does. I forgot that Riviera even got support in the set. So yeah, rest of the grade 2s are kind of whatever. And grade 3s. So go over the main thing people are probably looking forward to the most in the set. It is the Anj. So her GB2 skill is when the cards you pay for the cost of her stride, you can call them. So hypothetically, if you throw away like 5 cards from hand to stride, you can just call all 5 of them back to the board if you wanted to. So that's pretty cool. And then once per turn, on place or on stride, you can Soul Blast 1 and choose one circle that is not a unit that's not on a Vanguard circle and bounce them to hand up to 1 on both sides. And then if you bounce something from your opponent's board, you draw 1. If you bounce something on your own board, choose a unit with a GB2 possessing ability from your deck and add it to your hand. And the last line is just your opponent's skills do not proc if your opponent's unit skills do not proc when bounced to hand. So yeah, this card is very good because she can clear intercepts. She also draws you. She can draw you a card. She can dig her GB2 possessing units, which are not that many, but notable ones are the crit, the grade 1, and then there was a really big beater back in set. Back in where I think set 8, I think whatever set that one of the Lorises came in. So yeah, not the best GB2 search targets, but there are a few decent ones you can grab off this. So it's pretty cool. Or worst case scenario, you can just grab another copy for a Stride Fodder for the next turn. If you're because on first stride you don't get to call anything off of this. You need to already be in GB2 for you to actually call what you stride with. So you do actually have to pay a full cost for the first stride. But overall, Anj is a pretty good card. Pretty solid. But I think the deck overall surrounding her is... she basically just takes whatever good generic fish cards and plays them in a deck. I think the most common list I've seen, and the one that I've been playing, is like a Harmony kind of Anj deck. And that just feels kind of mid. So yeah. Ange herself is a good card. Her deck kind of whatever, in my opinion, from early impressions. There's like a reindeer that does stuff. I get power. You can give reindeer rears crit. Blah blah blah. Reindeer's kind of whatever. I don't really care for reindeer. Some Prism grade 3 that I really do not care for. You have Tra, I think is her name, and then she lets you like Superior Ride and there's Superior Stride if you're playing Riv, but Riv is kind of whatever too. So yeah, cool gimmick I guess, but probably whatever. And then there's a new Coral too. I'm personally not a big fan of Coral either, but I will acknowledge it that it is a deck that's probably pretty playable because she makes I actually have no idea what she does, but I know she makes like really big numbers. She also sits on Cross-Ride base. If you have like a Coral and Soul, if you have like 4 more Corals in Soul, she sits on like Cross-Ride base, so she sits on 13k base. She can draw you cards, and then she makes your stuff really big. So it's probably limited how bad this deck can be. I'm personally not a fan of it because you need to play Rhyline and you need to play Vanillas in your deck just to make it work. But this Coral is probably the deck that's the best at abusing Kirk. So yeah, take that as you will. Kirk is a good card. Coral can make use of Kirk, therefore this deck probably can't be terrible. Personally not a fan, but I'm sure it's still fine. And that's it for the fish cards. If you want an overall impression, I think of this set, I think for the most part you can probably skip it unless you really want to play fish. I don't personally think at the moment at the very least that there is a fish deck that is like game-breakingly good at all whatsoever. So yeah, if you want to play fish, go ahead. Otherwise, I can't even tell you to save your gems because who knows what's after this. Who knows what you'll be saving your gems for. But yeah, I expect most people to probably just splurge on the last 2 sets, especially if you're on global. You'll probably splurge on Ultimate Stride and Divine Dragon Apocrypha, the set right after it. So yeah, overall fish I think it's kind of whatever. I think the best deck, I don't know, probably a toss up between like Shushu, probably maybe Coral. I don't know. Definitely don't think it's Ange. Definitely don't think it's Reindeer. Definitely not Shizuku. Unless there's some like gimmicky build that comes out that someone finds that's like really good that makes use of this card. Best list is probably like Shushu or Coral probably, but yeah. That's it for fish, and I guess the last thing we'll take a look at is Gize because I'm sure everyone is interested in that. So let me just quickly get Gize up real quick. Up, there we go. So as you can see here, I actually had the Zeros to play this deck. So before we even get to Gize, I'll say this part probably does not concern 90% of people unless you're just interested in what it does. But you actually need to own 5 Zeros to actually play Gize. So yeah, you get Gize for free though. So there's that. But unless you have opened 750 packs combined of some amount of these sets, yeah, you're not playing this deck. This deck, you need 5 Zeros to play it. I'd imagine the average free-to-play player cannot play this. So sucks to be you, I guess. But yeah, yeah, sucks to suck. But we will get to Gize. So the starter is Neon Gize. They are the same card. So you get Neon Gize, and then this is your starter. So when you ride on top of it, he goes to your G zone. Doesn't have for GB or anything like that. But he goes to your G zone, and then in the G zone, he changes all your the power of your trigger effects. Instead of gaining power, you gain the ability to bind a Zeroth Dragon from your G zone instead. And then once you bind 5 Zeroth Dragons, so that's why you need 5, you can Ultimate Stride into Big Gize. And so it says Ultimate Stride, but don't be confused. Once you hit the 5 bind requirement, so basically once you check 5 triggers, you can you can stride into this. You still need to pay the Ultimate Stride cost of same name as your event or be Dragfall and just be able to do it for free. But once you hit that cost, you can stride into the Gize, and he becomes Big Gize. The thing to note here is that basically damage checks during your turns do not count. Drive checks during your turn count. Damage checks during your opponent's turn count, but damage checks during your turn do not count. So basically, all this is really saying is Rescue does not work with this. So don't try to do anything too cheeky with Rescue or anything. It's probably still a fine deck core to play Gize in just because Angels are really good at stalling. But don't think your rescue checks do not count towards your triggers for Gize. So just keep that in mind. But once you do stride into Big Gize, what do you get? So Big Gize skill is basically he makes himself and all your Zeroth Dragons immune to everything and can't be attacked. So I'm too lazy to actually go over everything. But basically, your Xerath Dragon on the board and Gize himself is basically immune to everything. Is probably the easiest way to put it. They are immune to basically everything. You cannot call stuff either, so you cannot call stuff from your hand, so you can't dominate stuff out of their hand or anything like that. So yeah. Your Xerath Dragons and Gize basically become invincible. And since the Van cannot be targeted as well, if you're playing a Gize mirror, the second skill doesn't actually work on it because the payoff you get for all of this is at the start of your turn. So basically, once you survive a turn, once you're actually on Gize, deal 1 damage to your opponent per face of per Xerath Dragon on your board. So when you have 5, you ping them for 5 damage. So basically just game. And yeah, that's the whole game with Gize. You hit 5 triggers. You you stride into Gize, you ping them for 5, and they're probably dead because they'll need a bunch of heals to survive this. And the last skill is if your opponent's Vanguard is also Gize, he gets plus 10k. Or I think your farm gets plus 10k, so you can actually hit face with them. It's not just a giant stall mirror. But yeah, because this last skill here is basically here because because your Vanguard is invincible, basically you cannot actually ping them because you can't affect their Vanguard with the damage. So they basically slap the skill here so that you're not just sitting and slapping each other for 1 damage a turn. So that is that. And yeah, Gize honestly isn't that good, to be perfectly honest. I don't think it's that particularly good, just because of the fact that since your triggers don't get power, you don't get power from your triggers. You just kind of eat shit. Is the best way to put it. Because your opponent basically just has to be able to make for against 11k base, they just have to make like 11, 16, 21, and you're just getting slapped for 3 damage basically. So yeah, but once you are on Gize, you're a 30k base for a turn, and they think to kill past the 30k base. So yeah, yeah, but overall I think Gize is probably just a gimmick. Probably not too good. I'm sure someone will find some way to like just to break Gize, and if you can break Gize, this card's pretty good. And I guess one last thing we'll take a look at is the new Harmonics buff. Again, I didn't really want to make a whole video on this. Maybe I still will. I don't know. But they decided to buff Harmonics Messiah again. So let me just what the hell is it? What filter do I have on here? Oh, ZR is no wonder. Yeah, but they decided to buff Harmonics once again. So I'll just quickly find Harmonics. Yeah. Oh, not you. Yeah, you. So they decided to buff it again. This time it got even more skills on it, and this time it doesn't need to face up for it to work. So the skill that it got was G-Zone, face down, turn 2 onwards. If your opponent did not deal you a damage, you can ping yourself for 1 and draw 1, as well as and this time you can ping you up to 4 now. So 0 damage strats are truly dead because you straight up cannot deny your damage your opponent at all anymore, because turn 2 onwards means once you're on grade 2, you can ping yourself for 1 if your opponent didn't hit you for a damage. If you want my TLDR or thoughts on this, I think this change is stupid as hell. I understand why they implemented this. They didn't want like 0 damage Gize like ruining the game. But like, I think this change is dumb as hell. If you want to hear a more in-depth explanation about why I think this is stupid, just tell me down below. I'll make a whole video on this. Probably won't be very long, but TLDR, 0 damage shots are dead. You can ping yourself starting on turn 2 now. You get a draw with it too. And it works. You don't even have to stride into it anymore. So yeah, my overall thoughts. I think this change is stupid as hell. I think there are many things wrong with how they chose to go about this. But that's a topic for a different video if you guys actually want it. So that's it for this video. Tell me guys what you think about this down below in the comments. All that good stuff. So again, if you want to see a more in-depth video with the harmonics, let me know down below in the comments for that as well. Like, subscribe with the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.